So we're on. I don't know, I feel like I want to take my notes just in case we say something we want to. Hi everybody, it's Dara.
Hi.
And I'm here with Jenna again, the lovely Jenna. And we're so lucky to be able to be together and have our conversations and share them.
It's the best. Like there's nothing I would do to like improve where we're at right now. Like it's just I'm so happy.
After those 2 videos we made yesterday, we were both like, that was so much fun. I loved it. And someone said under the human design video or the relationships video, they said it felt like I was on the sofa with you, which is exactly what. So on the sofa with J&D.
Yay!
So I'm having a little almond milk from Moon Juice with some herbs. She's having a beautiful tea with some herbs. And we really just wanted to get together because in our conversations, there's so many things that like we spark. For me, it sparks information, it sparks thought, it sparks that perhaps we talk about things that maybe our family here wants to talk about too.
Yes.
It's like good conversation starters. Like,
yeah.
For example,
acceptance. And you know what I feel like is like what happens when, like, you know, if it's just you in your head and you're thinking about something, you can't really clarify it or there's nothing to like spark it. So it's almost like when I'm with you and you say something that resonates with me, that's true for me, then it brings it out. So that's kind of why it's nice to like hear about these topics more, is because like it maybe brings something out in you that you couldn't so clarify. You know what I mean?
Like when you're when I'm talking, you pick up something that I didn't really notice was any unusual thing, any thought that is something that might need to come out into the world.
Yeah.
Because we operate also in our own way.
Yeah.
And we're doing our thing, and we might not realize that that's an unusual way of being that might help other people.
Right.
Like,
and
you say such amazing things. Like, your words are so gorgeous and so uplifting. So we decided, we were just making lists, texting back and forth, and one of the things that we would like to discuss with each other is like, and by the way, this is what Jenna calls a walk in the garden. When we talk about things that might be of great concern to one of us,
yes,
tell them what walk in the garden is like.
Especially when it's something that's so kind of, let's say something you hold like really close to your heart, the last thing you want to do is discuss it with someone who will say, just do this, or just, you know, cut that thing out, or just get over it, or just move on, or just go to a new job, or just da-da-da-da. And that never really it doesn't help me for sure, because I know that I basically need to, instead of go straight down the garden path, I need to walk it around the garden, because I want to say, let's do this journey together.
And then we meander around the flowers, and we look at that, and we look at that, and somehow we get to the end of the path with a beautiful understanding.
Yes.
So that's really what we want to share here. So we don't have a particular agenda other than discussing that perhaps it's a really nice idea to consider the idea of accepting other people, their thoughts, their beliefs, their ways of being, and take it on, Jenna. Let's see where let me make sure we're in the, we're on.
Well, it's really important, because I think that for all of us, when you feel truly accepted by someone, that's when you feel truly loved.
Yes.
When someone accepts you exactly for where you are, and you feel like they have no agenda to change you, or for you to kind of like fit into a mold that they have of who, you know, a mother or a girlfriend or a wife or a sister or whatever should be, then you feel like you have the space to be yourself. And that only then is when they can help you then become your highest version of yourself. Like, they can pull you up when they accept that you're at where you're at. If they're seeing you with this illusion of like their idea of Dara rather than just connecting with the real Dara, then there's no going around the garden with that person. You know what I mean? Like, they're not going to help you.
It's going to be more cut and dry, and usually there's some attachment on the other end. There's some reason, maybe they're afraid for you, or some reason there's some reason that they want to give you what they would do. And how to be a friend like you? It's like how to be a friend like Jenna, where there's just this softness when. Like, I know if I deliver information or an idea or what I would consider a problem or an issue at the moment, I pretty much know that you're not going to come in and have any harsh criticism or judgment about it. And so it leads me to think that in order to have a friend like that, we have to be a friend like that.
Yes.
Right?
And that's why I think it's important for me to be a friend to other. It's kind of like the treat others as you would treat yourself, but it's not as literal as that, because it's just like if you commit to being on that kind of if you kind of commit to going to that vibration of non-judgment, then you attract more non-judgment. You know what I mean? If you say to the universe, like, I'm a non-judgmental person and I see everything as good and fine and perfect and totally meant to be in line with the divine timing, then there's no threat to, like, you know, who I am as a person.
Right. So maybe, like, I don't know why we get judgmental, and we all have been at times, or if we've experienced it from our families or our friends. It's almost like then, if you, in what we're talking about, perhaps we would consider understanding that maybe wherever they're coming from is wherever they're coming from, and not judge that. So
yes,
it's
that's exactly.
And then it creates a softness there too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, you know, this is kind of one of the things that human design really taught me, is this understanding of, like, we're not all meant to be the same. And where we're all causing each other suffering is, like, trying to make each other the same so we can feel safe in a pack. When really we need to expand and let everyone be who they are. Like, all these different versions of a human being, and then we're so much bigger together.
Right. So the old way of being is everybody had to be the same. And now, like, same religion, same in the classroom, same genes in high school, same this. But the idea is that to branch out and actually really be ourselves. So
and you know what's fascinating for me is, like, if we're talking about something that you're going through, instead of me trying to control, like, the outcome that makes me feel safer in the world, like, let's say I have an issue with abandonment, and therefore I try and make my friend who's being abandoned not be abandoned, and I do everything I can.
I was just going to ask, why do you think people do that? Why are they trying to control what I do? But it's based on their own feeling that they don't want that to happen to them.
To them.
Yeah.
Because there's this belief of, like, there's only one truth. When I think you can understand that my truth is not your truth, is not your truth, is not your truth.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
And then maybe when you're going through something, I can just be like, oh, this allows me to, like, it's what my best friend Amelia calls, like, been there, not done that. It's like when you learn from someone else's experience, but you didn't have to go through it yourself.
Been there, not done that. Been there, not done that. Thank you so much for sharing. Wow, don't have to do that. I would love to share information so people don't have to do, you know, the mistakes I've made, or which are never really mistakes because we learn. Yeah, that's a good one.
So much better. Then we're all adding, like,
it's so refreshing. It's just so refreshing that there is no judgment. There is no right and wrong.
Correct. And by the way, like, as many times as a friend of yours or someone that you care about needs to slip up and make the same mistakes, is exactly the perfect number that they need to slip up and make those mistakes. Right. So, like, I know, for example, when especially when it's someone that really cares about you or wants to protect you, it's like the reason they'll often give is, like, they're worried, or they want to protect you, or they want to they have your best interests at heart, or whatever. But sometimes it's about, like, not getting so involved to control the outcome, because then you're kind of preventing them from going through the number of times they need to have that same message come in. Right. So if, like,
you're shutting off them telling you things in the future. Yes. They might go to somebody else. Yes. Like, you're shutting down intimacy, because if I know friend X is going to be very harsh on a certain topic, I'm really probably not going to confide in her because I want to have just some space to walk in the garden. Yes. That's the biggest thing, if we can be friends like that, if we can be friends, like, walking in the garden is just such a pretty image. There's roses and dahlias and irises and there's thorns, right? You get tripped up on a thorn, you kind of scratch yourself, you go, wow, you know, and that's all part of it.
Yes. But imagine if we'd just gone straight to the front door, we would have missed all the different little signs and all the different messages.
And then you'd be at the end of the path, and I'd probably have to go back in the garden myself, because I wouldn't be done. If you, you know, like, I wouldn't be done looking at or kind of feeling out. And in the end, don't we all do what we want to do anyway?
Always.
We always do what we want to do.
Yeah, always. Like, do you know that friend who's always asking everyone for the advice, advice with the guy they're dating or whatever, and all they want to do is ask 20 different people, but at the end of the day, they're just going to do what they're going to do.
Right. So really, we are our own authority. That's the thing that you get to know. That's one of the beautiful things about getting up this many turns around the sun, is that I remember a number of years ago, I was, wait, it's not the astrologer who's going to tell me this, or not this reader or that energy healer. In the end, I'm my own authority. Yes, I consult the pendulum to see my own intuition, and yes, I consult my own intuition, and yes, I get guidance from a friend, and guidance from astrology, and guidance from human design. In the end,
you're the guru.
Yeah, it's all in us. And it's about bringing it out. That's what we do together.
Yes.
Like, we bring out
but
what
that's
feels
what,
right.
That's what relationships are about, right? It's like, sometimes I can't see something, so I want to surround myself with people who have a non-judgmental desire for me to be my best self, and me them.
Yeah.
And then together we can like workshop stuff. As soon as
that's what you say. She calls it workshopping, and I love that. Let's workshop that. and just so like I was like, Jenna, I don't know. I just don't really know the direction I'm going in this. I don't know what I'm doing. And then I just kind of put it out there, like in an open way, not. And I was like, wow, I just actually told Jenna that I had no idea which direction I was going, and then an answer came in straight away. And it wasn't, we didn't even need to like workshop it for hours, because you said, let's workshop it. I'm like, oh yeah, I think this will take all of 5 minutes. Like the answers can come so quickly when you're open. It's when we're like in our heads. Oh, I wanted you to talk about the mind thing, because because sometimes I find that when we're in our minds, when I see friends, loved ones in their head, it looks to me, and I don't really know how to describe it as well as you did the other day, it looks to me like they're blocking something from coming in, like they're blocking opportunities. Does that make sense?
Yes. So in human design, the mind is basically a processing agent. So what that means is that the correct use of the mind is for observing the world around us. It's there to process information. So anything to do with like logic or science or patterns or like anything observational about the world around us is a perfect use for the mind, right? So without filled in minds, without people with minds in human design, like someone who has that logic in their chart, someone who has that ability to deduce things, to doubt things, to question things, all that kind of stuff, we wouldn't have these things like
engineering, the scientists, we need those, the buildings and street planning and everything,
all that stuff.
Medical breakthroughs and
advancements. Like it's
however,
we've been basically taught that we've given too much importance to logic, and we've given too much importance to planning and steps and justifying and being able to say, if I do this now, then this will happen in the future. Too much attachment to planning and logic. And that's because if you think about all the philosophers of of yore and all the rulers, like we've come from a time when strategy that's so valued is valued. But right now, according to human design, we're moving from leftness to rightness, which is more from strategy, like from a point of strategy and focus to a more peripheral and open viewpoint of the world. So we're in such a critical time where it's so important for us to strategize about the right things, but not to make strategy about ourselves. So with you, for example, saying, I didn't know, I'm not sure about what this is, or I'm not sure where I'm going in this specific area, you just left that thought as that thought and didn't let it be anything else other than the truth of, I'm not sure what's happening. Where we let the mind sabotage us is then to say,
like I literally said, I don't know what's next. I literally don't know what's next.
Okay, and just left it at that.
And
that was that.
Yes, go ahead.
Where you get yourself into trouble then is to let the mind hijack that thought, hijack that truth, hijack that feeling.
And start thinking about what I should do.
Oh, that's so bad. Oh, I should know what I'm supposed to do.
Maybe
terrible.
If I do this, maybe I should start reading this, and maybe that, and I better go figure it out. And we start trying to figure it out, which really seems to me like it blocks the inspiration coming to us. So the best thing we could do is go out and have some joy, I would think, rather than sitting in our heads. Because you could spend forever going over what has happened, forever over determining what is going to happen in the future, and then where's the present, right? Like, where's the feel of the bark on a tree, or the smell of a flower, or eyeball to eyeball connection with a friend? If I'm sitting with you deciding what happened, and I'm clicking back in my, it's almost like a Rolodex or like a, you know what I mean? I wouldn't be here.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's almost like you're allowing yourself, your ego, to hijack your journey. because instead of just moving from moment to moment, you're like pulling yourself back into the past and pulling yourself into the future, and the mind is the only one that's doing that, rather than just being like, right now I feel this, and now I feel this, now I feel this, and this is what's going on, and this is my current truth, and it might change, and let's just see.
Current, that's what I was just talking about before you came in. It's being current, and it changes like all the time, and we get stuck on an idea that we've decided needs to be the way.
Yes. So why do you think we do that?
Investment in time, maybe. We invest energy. We've told people. We've committed on some level.
But what is it you say about energy and love is never destroyed?
Yeah. Are we talking about love? Love
Well,
never
no,
changes?
like when you say, I mean, say for example you've invested energy in a relationship.
Okay, we're talking
it's
about
not a
relationship.
waste.
Okay, but it was too vague. I was like, are we talking about business or?
I mean,
okay,
I guess
so
it's the same
no.
thing,
If relationship could be anything, or career. The reason we stay the same is because we've invested and we think they're two different things. So let's say business. Like I was telling you how I had a wholesale business and I was turning into this major businesswoman, and all of a sudden I was at the Javits Center and I had a really successful product and people from all over the world came to buy it, and I was in all the top like boutiques and it was fun. Like the show was fun, creating the items were fun, but I fast forwarded. For some reason there was one woman that I saw who'd been doing what in the business world for like 7 years or 10 years, and I took a look at her one day and I was like, that's not me. Like I don't want to be this business person writing checks all day, doing the business of the art. And I remember feeling like, would it make me so happy to stop? And I thought, yeah, it feels so good just to pick up my paints and my paintbrushes again and have the simplicity. And I literally looked at my mom and I was like, I'm stopping. And she's like, you sure? And I was like, and that was it. And I pulled it, and I had spent 3.5 years on this business.
Oh my goodness. And it's so funny how like that would seem like the dumbest decision
to a lot of people.
Because it's like, well, you're successful, so who are you to say no to that?
And you put all that energy into it and all that time, and people want you. I remember someone being like, what? You're not, like one of the stores, the shop owners was like, really? I mean, really, are you not going to do this like, we need your stuff. We want it. We love it. And I thought about disappointing others versus making myself happy.
Yeah.
And so making myself happy, and just, like if you feel a lift, it's almost like if you feel a lift in the decision, that's the answer. If it's a yes, it's a yes.
Yes.
If it's not a yes, it's a no.
That's a hell no.
So,
but it's funny because like, listen to that. Like your commitment was to keeping your happiness and your high vibration, preserving that, and that is what everyone else around you needs, right? Like if you were just worried about disappointing people,
then I'd be heavy with obligations. So here's the funny thing. So a number of years later, I actually moved to Florida, and I did not like painting murals anymore because it wasn't murals. It turned into decorative painting, and I remember thinking, this is not for me, this is not for me, this is not for me, and I didn't listen. And then one day in Palm Beach, I was doing murals actually. I did this gorgeous mural in a child's room, so interesting. And there was one day I was doing a decorative painting in a bathroom and I fell off the ladder. So it's the notion that if you don't listen, it will be done for you.
Wow.
But I did get a great message from doing something that wasn't quite right. I spent 1 month in one child's bedroom, a 5-year-old, painting rolling lavender hills and bunnies, and I incorporated feng shui, and it was just this watercolor. It looks like a fresco on all 4 walls. But I remember when the little girl walked in and she didn't even notice, and I was like, I could be spending my time sharing my notions with thousands of children that need to hear, rather than one child who may or may not register. Same thing with when I was a private chef.
Yes.
So I got, from doing different things in my life, trying different things, I've gotten the message that I'm supposed to share with a lot of people.
Right.
But only from trying things would I have known and learned. Like everything I've done has led up to where I am now.
And that's why it's never a waste.
Never a waste.
Because imagine if you'd done one fewer of those things, you would have still been stuck doing that last thing you were doing.
I tried.
It's like you have to reach that, like, the moment of clarity in yourself. As many times as someone else around you can say, I'm telling you, you need to do this, unless you hear it here, like unless it's like the penny drops there, you get that,
That's the same thing with quitting smoking or drinking or a relationship, or it's you know when you know. Yes. And you won't know unless you go where the heat is until you get burned, until you have to stop. Like, it's
But how many times have you heard that story of like, you need to leave the guy, you need to leave him, you need to leave him.
And then you hear those
times
voices.
you need to leave him, and it's like,
it's not gonna do any good.
Not gonna do anything.
No, right?
But those people would be like, I'm saying this to you because I care about you.
And they might know better. Like, they may see something that you're not seeing at the moment, and but the experiences of life, like we're all knocking around, we're doing the best we can, and we're here for the lesson. So for those people who do we're bumping around to get the lesson. So the people who don't take the risks to open their heart to love, to try that new business, or to do what it is, they're contracting instead of expanding.
Yes. And I know for me, for example, if someone does ask me for advice as a friend, it's important to give the advice without the need for it to be carried out. So if you ask me, oh, what should I do about this? I'll give it to you, but I'm not going to give it to you on this condition that you do exactly what I say.
Right. It doesn't hurt you if I don't do what you've suggested or recommended, or...
Yeah, because you're not me. And thank God you're not me. And thank God I'm not you.
Right.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And instead, most of us, like I've operated most of my life under this condition of like, we all need to be the same so that we can all feel safer and reassure each other that we're all doing great. And instead, to all be like you said, we're all knocking around doing the best we can with what we know.
Yeah.
There's so much more freedom in that.
Yeah, like bumping around.
Yeah.
It's kind of cute if you think about it that way. You're just kind of bumping around, little bumper cars, like, it doesn't have to be so serious.
Yes.
If we don't listen to the universe, and if we really do not listen to our inner compass, then we can make some mistakes that are, our series. I always say our life is a series of the actions that we take. But it's really the thoughts that make the actions. So it's really what we're thinking, right?
100%. And if you think about your aura, your energetic body, like the bit of you that's just your energy, that speaks before you physically speak, right? Every thought, you want to think of it as like a collection of everything that is you. So every piece of information you put in your head, every piece of food you put in, every thought you think, every good action something you do that makes you feel good, it's like, does it add to that vibration, or does it take away from that vibration? So it's like, for example, I say to people like, don't eat quinoa and kale if you're hating every minute of it, because then you're really like taking your vibration down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Same thing with like a bad thought. Like you could be doing the right thing, but if you're resenting it and there's that discord inside, you're bringing your whole thing down.
Yeah.
So being high vibe is like the best commitment to living according to our divine timing that we can make.
Yeah.
We don't know how it's going to pan out. We just have to be ourselves.
No, it's just consistent. It's almost like consistent. What was the words you were using? It's like doing it consistency. How could you put that in a short phrase? Because it's doing what you just said consistently, like a little bit at a time.
Yes.
Keeping the high vibration up, one choice at a time. One choice at a time. One choice at a time. One action at a time. Yeah.
And we can't plan what the next, like life is going to bring you the next dilemma or the next choice.
Yes, it will.
And there's no amount of planning how your future's going to pan. Like the only thing you can say is, I'm going to try each time to make the decision as my most present, most loving, faithful, trusting in the universe self. And just because I don't know what the next choice is going to be, that doesn't matter. That's not my role anyway. That's up to the universe. Like,
right.
I don't need to know what's going to happen next.
So it really makes it much more manageable, right? Like we're really like don't have to think so far in the future. We just have to go, I'm going to have this now, and then I'm going to do this now, and keep the good feeling things going. And I think you can hear some people saying, well, how do I know what it is that makes me happy, right? Like if somebody's busy in their mind, how do they get to here and here? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, for me, I know that I always say like awareness is the great healer. So as soon as you can start to even like the journey begins with learning to spot when your mind is trying to hijack you. And that's all you have to do in the beginning. It's not like you have to have some grand plan of how to reorganize your
what's
whole
an
life.
example, do you think?
Like, say for example, I was thinking I don't know what to do next, right? I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Or say I have no idea what I'm doing. And then my second thought after that goes, that's so bad, that makes me shitty, I need to pretend that, whatever.
So, for example, my tonic line ran out. I don't know if I should redo it. Or am I putting my energies here? Like, are you putting your energies? Okay, so let's, for example,
let's use that
thing.
Yeah.
Or whatever you want to use.
I mean, I guess, yeah, that's a good one. It's like, I don't know what to do next. And then your mind goes, oh, well, that makes me like a shitty human being because I should appear in charge.
You know what it is for most people? I'm sorry to interrupt you, but this is important because I hear this from a lot of people.
Yes.
They don't know how to leave something, like a job. Like they're at a job, they're miserable.
Ooh.
That's a big one.
Okay, so say for example, your initial instinct, your feeling inside your body, like from here down, the feeling is the want to leave. Okay.
Like it makes you feel sick when you go to work, or you feel down or depressed, or it makes you want to eat or drink, or
you know, I mean, those signs are like
people know
that's not the hard bit.
No, the bitchy boss or the
So say you want to leave your job. That's an awesome one. Mm-hmm. The first feeling is I want to leave, or I don't want to be here, or my heart wants to do something else,
right?
Whatever it is. The second voice that appears is the mind saying, you should stay. I always say when you hear should, that's a surefire sign that your mind is trying to hijack. Or that's bad, or that makes you a not good person, or what will people think, or da-da-da-da, like that chatter.
How am I going to pay my rent, or blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
So the number one thing with awareness is the great healer is to start to notice the gap in between the initial feeling and the rest of the chatter that follows. That's all from the mind.
So the gap in between the initial feeling,
which is I don't want to be here, let's say, I don't want to be at this job.
And then what, you're paying attention to the length of the gap, or
no, that you can just put a bit of a pause in between.
A pause, okay, like when I say, well, like a pause, like tell yourself, okay, take a pause, and then feels bad, and then you leave it at that.
And then you say, and then you notice, okay, your mind going, should, do this, do that, future, this, plan, you can't do this for this reason, da da da. All of a sudden, when you've just noticed when the mind tries to come in, you can say, oh, that's just the mind trying to come in. And then you're not so like nose close into the story of the mind, and you're not so over invested in the mind being the true thing. You're just like, oh, that's how the
then
mind
you leave
works.
Space literally for the magic to happen, like the universe to give you an idea of what it could be that you can't see. If you're busy in your mind, you're not open to what person may come or thought, or it's so busy. We're circling back to that busy mind thing again. That does trip up so much. I guess it will trip up. It doesn't just say, like, literally, and we've heard this from other spiritual teachings, is that we don't need to worry about how we just have to state what is. I don't know where I'm going. I do want to leave this job, and then maybe leave it.
Just let your truth be your truth. And instead of judging it as being the worst thing ever, or the best thing ever, or the bad thing, or it makes me worse than other people, or better than other people, like, that's the mind again. Just let the truth be the truth. I have no idea what I'm doing. Or, I don't feel so good in this relationship today. I might wake up tomorrow and feel differently. I don't know. Let's see. Show me.
Maybe something will happen in the job that will make it better. Maybe somebody will come and offer a job.
Yeah. But you have to stay open, that big open vessel, and be like, hey, universe, I'm questioning.
It's so different because I remember when I was younger and I was like in my 20s, and I'd sit at my mom's kitchen counter like this, like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. It's just, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. And like, you know what I mean? Like countless times, not one time, not 5 times, but like I'd come back home from wherever, New York City or college or what am I supposed to do? And now it's kind of like I know enough to be guided.
Yeah.
That I'm not, no matter how hard you try, it's almost like you can't figure it out. It happens because you see a book in a bookstore that pops out at you, and that topic looks so interesting and sparks you, or you meet a person who's like, hey, would you help me out being a photography assistant, and then you end up in that world, or it's like, it's there for us. And I think us trying to make it happen, it's like the old regime in a way.
100%.
Right? Like,
and even then, like, no one was God.
No.
even if you thought you were like the most all-powerful ruler in the world, like imagine you could have $1 billion business and still get sick, get the gift of being shaken up and woken up, or you can still,
That's true.
you know, there's no way. Guarantees. I woke up one day so recently and I was like, wow, this is like one of the best lessons I've ever had, which is that guarantees are illusions. Anytime I'm trying to make a guarantee about how stuff is going to start out, that's an illusion, and anyone who can try and make me a guarantee is also giving me an illusion. Like, I can't say I'll love you forever. I can't. I literally physically can't say that.
Right.
I can't say that I'm always going to love doing this, or I'm, you know, there's no way.
Yeah.
There's no way. You just never know what's going to come up or how the universe is going to rearrange things for you.
The universe could rearrange it for you. So really, in the end, there is no security.
And that is the ultimate security.
That's the ultimate security, that it's here. It's like,
Yeah.
we have to get so comfortable here. Here.
Yes, like you always do. And like trusting that there's not just you making stuff happen. Like,
Yeah.
you're just doing your part and the universe is rushing to do the rest for you.
Yeah.
And that's so much better. Wouldn't you rather let the universe do the work for you?
Yeah. It's much easier.
Yeah. So much easier.
So I was in a meditation class the other day, and he had us picture green light going into the heart, but he also had us picturing the green light circling behind, through the heart and out the front, because this is how you give love, and how you receive love is through the back. So we need to learn how to receive. We need to learn how to receive these messages. They're gifts. Those little popping messages, like you showing up in my life is a gift. I honor, I recognize it, I delight in it, I'm grateful for it, and then more gifts come because we get that circle flowing. So
we're
we have to
in
give.
life, we're like participating. Imagine when you're in your mind though, you're literally taking yourself out of your body. You're literally taking yourself out of the moment. You're like checking out, right? So then there's no flow.
There's no flow. There's no flow and flow and
Yeah.
flow and just, yeah. If you're too much here, you can't be anywhere else.
No.
It's almost like if you have a house and you just spend too much time in one room, you're at your computer and your study, and you're not using your kitchen, and you're not bathing, and you're not in your garden. There's no.
Yes.
There needs to be like a energy move around.
All parts need to be tended to and given the right amount of airtime. So the mind is great for like, how do I write a business plan, or how do I come up with a new theory about something scientific or philosophical?
How do I learn how to post this video, or how do I things like that? But should I? Shouldn't I? Maybe I should. It's so.
It's just the wrong.
I didn't this morning. I was supposed to fly to Florida tomorrow morning, and I got this. I have splenic authority, which maybe we'll shut this off, and Jenna could do. I really want to do that video. In human design, we're different types, but there's also different ways we need to learn to listen to ourselves to make decisions. And mine is splenic, and I just got this incredible wave, like, don't fly tomorrow.
Right. And you learn.
And because of human design, I've learned in my past and my history, I've learned to trust that. And I had for a second thinking, oh, this person's going to think this. I had like 3 points that I had to check on to make sure I could do it logistically.
Yeah.
And then I didn't go over and over in my head. I went with the gut, checked the pendulum, and flying Saturday feels right.
There you go.
So
Simple as that.
let's. Is there anything else we want to say that in this time when, and I feel really passionate about this, and Jen and I really haven't talked about this, but in this particular climate, there could be fear that somebody's so different from you, and they're thinking so different, and they're scary, and they're weird, and they're wrong, and they're bad, and we, I believe, are here to tell you that that's just not true.
Yeah.
And if you think that there's one line in between us, like there was a line in between us and the Russians, and then there's a line between us and this, and there's no line. Maybe something wants us to believe that we're separate, and so we can be battling, so we're not paying attention to the things that Jen and I are talking about. So if we're so focused on how we're so separate and we're so bad and there's two different camps, then we're not doing the thing that we ought to be doing, which is really just taking care of ourselves and making love.
And the acceptance.
And the acceptance. Like, it's okay if somebody doesn't agree with me. There's beautiful people in this world that don't have the same views that I have.
Thank God.
So we want to love. We want to. That goes back to the acceptance.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's all like, it just is perfectly what it is right now, and it always will be perfectly what it is, even though my mind can't see it, or or can't make sense of it, or can't decide how that's going to impact the future or whatever.
Yeah, and wouldn't it be nice to spend the time sipping this, having this, writing a beautiful story, creating a new something, inventing something, rather than being what I was describing to Jenna that I call the bottom dwellers. And I don't mean to be mean, but there's the high flyers who are creating, and then there's people who are just constantly complaining about what is.
Right.
And so you can stay down here complaining.
I feel so bad when I do that.
It happens. We've all been there. We get dragged down there, we go down there, and then when we know that when we're in our most high, we're creating.
Yes.
We're creating love and light and
that's the only way
goodness.
you can pull other people up.
Mhm.
You can't do anything from that place of like
No.
at the bottom.
No, you can't.
No.
You can create effective change with creative thought and your heart and your gut, but staying down here complaining probably isn't going to get you.
And again, probably that
pipeline.
complaining is blocking this again.
Yeah, what could show up to change things. So I'm all about the making the good food and the love and good conversation. And David Wolf is very much like this. For one thing that I did really learn from him is that he's always looking for new and better and fun and interesting. And he's not down there complaining.
He's got such good dynamic.
He's creating and he's learning and he's expanding. And I think that's just a great word. So we have allowance, we have expansion. We have the mind in its place, we have the heart, we have the gut, and we have human design. So without further ado, I'm ending this video, and I want to hear about how the best way we can make decisions using our own specific authority for our own selves, yes?
Amazing.
Sound good?
Sounds great.
All right.